G'day Crustacean Nation, SirPrawnAlot here with another video. Today we're going to be putting a divider into the guppy tank. It's about time that I stop the breeding in here and sort of sort out who's who and separate the males from the females. I'm going to be using just this sponge here. It's about medium density, so hopefully it will do an alright job letting water through each side. If not, I'm going to order some bigger sponge off the internet and use that for this tank and probably that tank as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to size. I've had this piece for a while. As you can see, I've done some dodgy cuts on it before. So I'm going to try my best to cut it nice and even and have it so it fits in well. Another thing I'm going to try doing is cutting a little bit off at the bottom, a permanent piece that will stay down the bottom, and then I'll put the sponge on top of that piece. That way, if the sponge at the top does get clogged up, I can just take out the top bit without disturbing all the substrate and anything else down there. So hopefully this goes alright. It's going to be interesting to see which ones I separate and if I can work out who's the boys and who's the girls. Not all the girls are plain and some of the boys are also plain, so be interesting to see how it goes. And yeah, it's something I'll be able to work on in the future, just, moving fish from one side to the other. Obviously, I don't really want them breeding right now at the moment because I'm not going to be making as many sales as I normally would. So we're going to go ahead and see how it goes. So I don't actually have any Stanley knives or anything at the moment, so I'm going to be trying to use some scissors on here. Ideally, I'd have something a bit sharper and a bit better and easier to cut, but we'll see how we go. I'm just going to do it and then I'll cut back. Make sure you measure how much you want to cut. So my tank is 30 centimeters deep and then about 37 centimeters tall. So I'm going to be cutting it to those measurements. You want to make sure the sponge goes above the water a bit if you are trying to separate things, just in case they jump or whatever, especially when it comes to shrimp as well. I know that you don't want them climbing over the top and things like that. So I'm going to get cutting and then I'll be back. So here's what I ended up with, a nice cut piece. There were a few hairs on it that I had to pull off because I had dropped it on the floor before, but it's looking a bit better now. It's probably ready to go in. Made a bit of a mess and ended up using a steak knife instead of the scissors. If you just lay it flat and hold it and cut into it like a steak, it actually works pretty well. So that's how I got the better cut line here than what it was last time, which is that wonky bit. So this has, it's about 31 centimeters by 37 centimeters, so it's got a bit of squish to go in the tank, but I'm not too fussed about that. At the moment, I'm thinking this isn't going to work too well because it is a bit too fine, I think. So I'm probably going to go ahead and buy some less dense sponge. So yeah, let's go ahead and whack it in. And there it is, the Great Wall has been placed. As you can see, it's a little wonky, and that's because it is sort of squished in there. So I could either have it so it's got like an arch on one side, or have it a bit wonky, but it doesn't really matter in my opinion. I think it'll be fine either way. I'm just going to get in there and push it out that side a bit. That's a bit more straight looking. So obviously when I just put it in then, some boys are on that side, some girls are on that side, some girls are on that side as well, and whatever. So I'm going to have to get in there and manually, move them out. I'm thinking this will be the boy side because it already has the two males there and a bunch of other males. And this will be the girl side because there's a couple females here as well, so it sort of works out. Obviously I'm going to start moving them out. I am really excited to get them all separated and then get some close-ups on the males. There's actually a male back there at the moment who was showing some interesting colours. I do apologise for all the stuff floating around. I did stir up the Java moss and I need to really clean out the Java moss. I'm probably going to take a fair bit of it out just because there's not going to be many fry and it sort of gets a bit gunky. I do still have blue dream shrimp in here. They're all in this side from what it seems. But if I do see any on this side, I think I'll just move them over to this side here. As for the heater, I put it vertical. I think it'll be fine like that. It's not touching the ground or anything like that. I'm hoping the water can get through here still all fine. Obviously the water flow from this power head doesn't go through, but we have another filter here that does a fair bit of surface movement. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I will put another thermometer on this side just so I can see and make sure the temperature is getting through. I'm sure it will because it's all underwater. And yeah, I'm really keen to see how this goes, keen to see if I can pull off separating them. I do believe most of these females here are actually pregnant, so I think that's going to be a bit of an issue in the future because they're going to give birth to heaps of fry and they're going to be stuck in this small area. As for stocking and if they're overstocked or not, I don't think it's overstocked quite yet. It's pretty much on the border of it. So I'm going to try and sell some more just to really get my just to get my stock levels a lot lower, so they don't breed and have more babies, and if they do have more babies I can sort of account for that. But yeah, I'm really keen to see how it goes. I think in the future for my guppies, I'm gonna separate some males into a display tank, so the males that I like the most I'll put them on their own, and then maybe just get rid of all the females as well and keep them and then maybe even turn it into a community tank with the guppies. I think I've had my fair share of guppy breeding already. It's not something that really takes my fancy. It seems almost way too easy to breed, just breed guppies. Obviously I'm not breeding for particular colours or anything like that, but I think I want to try something that's a bit harder maybe, or I don't know, something that does a bit better with the shrimp or something like that. So I'm going to see how it goes. Obviously, I sort of change my mind in what I'm doing quite often, so don't quote anything that I'm saying. But this is definitely going to stay like this for a while, so long as the temperature doesn't have too much difference or anything like that. And there is one of the blue dream shrimps as I speak, just hanging out, having a munch. I did see one with eggs, so I'm keen to see some babies at some point. I don't think they'll be able to get through this, but there's a probability that they will. Like, probably, I don't know, there's a chance. I do need to clean the sponge filters in here as well. They're getting a bit manky, need a bit of a squeeze, but I'll do that when I do a water change. I'm also interested to see how a water change goes in this tank. If I start doing this one, if that one will go down as well or not. I may have to do half and half on each side. And yeah, I think this worked out all. But yeah, I think this worked out all right. It doesn't seem to be any issues as of yet. I don't think anything's going to squeeze down the bottom. I didn't end up doing the 2 sponges stacked. I think I'll just leave it, and when the day comes that I do have to clean it, whenever that may be, I'll just have to catch up all of one of the tanks, I think, which will be fine. But now I have the long task of catching up every single male from this tank, and then this side, and then every female from this side. So off we go. So I just spent maybe 15 minutes trying to sort them out then. I don't think it's going to happen, overnight or anything like that. I'm definitely going to have to put some more effort in there. I just noticed there's a blue dream shrimp down there that has to get over. But that's alright. I'm going to leave it for the night and just let them settle in. Then I think I'll go ahead and remove heaps of moss, just so I can really see who's in there and really judge which one's which and if they're a boy or a girl. I can see now there's a male there, but as soon as I get the net in, he just starts straight into the moss, and I don't really want to stir it up and mess everything up right now. So we'll see how it goes. I do need to have a really close eye at some of these fry that are on this side, just because it's hard to tell when they're young, or not hard, but it takes a second to make sure it's a boy or a girl. At the moment, I'm just looking for the little black spot under the belly. That seems to be a good giveaway, and also if their belly's kind of plump, I do believe that's sort of a giveaway if they're a girl. I have found a really nice coloured female. I don't know where she is over this side, but she looks really nice. I'm going to keep an eye on it because I'm not sure if it is a female or a male, but if it is a female, I'm keen to show it off in the future because it's got some really, really cool colours coming off on it. I think you can actually just see it back there. That may be it. Maybe it was a different one. I think that's a female as well, so there are definitely a few cool females, and there's definitely a few cool males as well. I just got to fix up my light there. To move it every time. That's looking a bit better. So thanks for watching this quick video. I hope you enjoyed. This is just sort of a little idea that I thought I would give a go, and I wanted to try it with better fish in the tank over there. So instead of a bunch of guppies on each side, just one better fish. I do also have ideas to sort of plant like Anubias and things like that into the sponge, because it's not really like a sponge filter, so it's not going to ruin anything there, and I can still clean it out if it's, say, Anubias. I can just take it out for a moment, squidge it out, and then put it back in. So it'd be really cool to have like a bunch of Anubias just hanging off the side, I reckon. And it wouldn't take much. You just have to like cut a little divot in and then put the Anubias plant in or something like that. I reckon that would be cool. The other good thing about this is it does work a bit like a filter as well, because water is flowing, straight into it. So water would be going through and, backing around or whatever, which means, it is getting a bit of filtration going, which is great. But I wouldn't rely on this purely for my filtration. I wouldn't put like a power head here just pushing water through. I think having the extra filters is always handy, and they need a clean out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.